Hi, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the New Technology and Green Cleaning webinar. We're really excited you all could join us today and hope that you enjoy this webinar. So my name is Alex Scheibel, and I'm the Writer and Policy Analyst at Healthy Schools Campaign, which is the organization that's hosting today's webinar. We'll tell you a little bit more about Healthy Schools Campaign in a couple minutes, but I just want to review some of the basics for today's webinar. So first, we'd like to recognize our sponsor for the webinar, Advanced Vapor Technologies. We really appreciate their support in helping making this webinar possible. And this webinar is part of a series of green cleaning webinars that Healthy Schools Campaign is hosting this summer. In addition to this webinar, we'll be hosting 2 more webinars within the next month, and you can register through greencleanschools.org, and we are chatting out the link right now if you're interested in registering for the remaining 2 webinars. And we'd also love for you to join us in the ongoing conversation that's taking place around these webinars. You can follow us on Twitter with this hashtag to read more questions, send in your questions if you think of more following the webinar. We would love for you to engage with us following this session. And today's webinar is going to take about an hour, and a recording of the webinar is going to be available online to view after today, and you'll receive an email after the webinar with the link to where that recording will be located. And also, if you could just take a quick minute at the end of the webinar to do a survey about your participation in the webinar, that would be fantastic. And we're going to be saving about 15 minutes at the end of the webinar for question and answer session with our speakers. And you can ask questions in 2 ways. You can type a question into the questions box, which is located on your control panel, and click on the send button. You can send those questions in at any time during the webinar, or you can also save your questions for the end of the webinar and virtually raise your hand by clicking on the hand icon on your control panel. And then we can unmute your phone and you can ask your question live over the phone. So we have a great lineup of speakers today. We have Mark Bishop from Healthy Schools Campaign, Steve Ashkin from the Ashkin Group, Andy Lee from Blackhawk Intermediate School, and then Gene Woodward from University of Washington. And our school speakers are winners of the Green Clean Award, which is an annual award co-hosted by Healthy Schools Campaign, the Green Clean Network, and American School and University Magazine. So we'd like to congratulate our winners and encourage anybody who is interested in applying for the award to download the application from American School and University's website. And the 2011 application was just posted within the last month. And we just sent out the link to that application through the chat. So thanks again for joining us, and I would like to turn it over to Mark Bishop right now, who is Healthy Schools Campaign Vice President of Policy and Communications.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for everybody for joining us today. We really appreciate all of your time, but let me just get started since we've got a great lineup of speakers, and I believe everyone wants to not listen to me ultimately. But a little bit about Healthy Schools Campaign. We are a not-for-profit organization. We're located in Chicago, and we work on programs and policies to promote healthy environments, better nutrition in schools. And one of our flagship programs is our green cleaning work, which we have been doing since around 2004. A little bit about our green cleaning work. I loosely categorize it into three different areas. First, it started with our work in Chicago. So just the point being is that our work is really grounded in the basis of actual implementation and getting Chicago Public Schools, the 3rd largest school district in the country, to adapt green cleaning programs. Second is we work very strongly on state policy. We want to make sure that we are doing our best to really encourage the greater adoption of green cleaning programs, ultimately for healthier environments for our students, our staff, our teachers. And finally, we do have a national initiative to try to level the playing ground and really identify strategies to really reduce the barriers for greater adoption of green cleaning, both from the supply side as well as from the demand side. So our flagship publication is our Quick and Easy Guide to Green Cleaning in Schools. And our guide is not just a single publication, but really is a series of information, whether it's our newsletters, our webinar series, ongoing promotion, speaking engagements, and really looking at all of the ways possible to educate stakeholders, school stakeholders about green cleaning and the importance of it for our kids. Our green cleaning effort is supported by national organizations and partners, that go from the large teacher unions to the Association of School Business Officials, to school boards, to environmental and education organizations. So there really is a very broad network of people out there that are really working hard to improve the environmental health of our schools. So what is green cleaning? When we talk about green cleaning, we talk about cleaning to protect health without harming the environment, because ultimately we clean buildings not to have shiny floors, but we clean buildings to make sure that we have healthy facilities. We want to make sure that we are not spreading germs. We want to make sure that our students are prepared and ready to learn in a healthy environment. But we want to take it a step further than just cleaning. We want to make sure that we're providing a healthy environment. And when I say a healthy environment, I mean both the indoor and the outdoor environment. Inside, we want to make sure we have good air quality and a school environment that kids are not getting sick. And from the outside perspective, we want to make sure that we are supporting systems and that we are supporting work that ultimately is going to leave a cleaner environment for our children. So a little bit about how we define green. It really starts from the federal government. There was an executive order that essentially defines what we mean by when we say green, when we say environmental. It is a product or a service that reduce the health and environmental impacts as compared to similar products and services used for the same purpose. And the point here is that it's about the same purpose. We have to make sure that we are providing the best cleaning programs possible, and we will not sacrifice the effectiveness and the quality of what we are trying to accomplish. But what we will do is make sure that we are providing it in a way that reduces the health impacts, that reduces the environmental impacts, and is cost-effective for schools to implement. Why we care about green cleaning, to go through this relatively quickly, number one is we want to make sure that students, staff, teachers stay healthy and are ready to learn. Students lose 14 million school days every year due to asthma, and we know that an effective cleaning program can really do wonders at reducing triggers for asthma. Second, we're concerned about the health of our custodial staff. It is our custodial staff that are the first lines of defense at keeping our buildings healthy and safe, and it's also our first line that have intimate interactions with many of the chemicals and the products that are being used to clean our buildings. Third, we want to make sure that we are protecting the lifespan of our facilities. By having an effective green cleaning program, we can use products that are less harsh, and they're going to wear surfaces down less, and that are going to help protect the investments that we have made in our building stock. Fourth, we look at preserving the environment. We want to make sure that we have a healthy environment for our kids, and the cleaning industry it contributes a lot of paper waste and chemical being introduced into the environment. And by implementing a green cleaning program, we are having a dramatic impact of reducing paper, reducing chemical, reducing water, reducing energy use. And finally, fiscal responsibility. Green cleaning programs ultimately are about not just the environment, but it's also about being responsible with the dollars that we have and making sure that we are being as effective with our cleaning programs as possible for the environment, but also with every dollar that we're spending. All right. First thing, I'm going to move on and introduce to the meat of our presentation. So the first of our three speakers. Before I introduce Steve Ashkin, I'm going to really quickly open up a first of a series of polls, and I would love to learn a little bit about who's on the audience, who's out there in the audience. So first of all, we're going to ask, who are you? And you just take a few moments and tell us who you are, and while we do that, I'll introduce Steve Ashkin, our first speaker. Steve Ashkin is the president of the Ashkin Group, a consulting firm specializing in green cleaning, greening the cleaning industry. He's also executive director of the Green Cleaning Network. He's well known throughout the professional cleaning, education, healthcare, and building management industries as the father of green cleaning. He's also a friend, a colleague, and the primary author of our Quick and Easy Guide to Green Cleaning in Schools. So it is my honor and pleasure to have Steve here with us today. I'm going to close our poll, and let's see what we have. It looks like we have teachers. About a third of you out there are manufacturers and distributors, a few school administrators, and a 44% are others. So it looks like we have a varied audience, and we appreciate all of you for being there. So let's now begin with, I'm going to give the virtual gavel over to Steve. And Steve, would you like to begin?
Thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate the kind introduction, and it is my pleasure to be associated with the work done by the Healthy Schools campaign. So thanks for putting this program together. My thanks to the other sponsors. For those of you listening in, I think you're really going to get a lot out of Andy and Jean's presentation. So my thanks to both of them for being able to work with them. And I also want to take just a second to thank our sponsor, Advanced Vapor Technologies. Without the support of organizations like Advanced Vapor, it would be very difficult to be able to put these programs on. So I just wanted to take a second just to, again, recognize them. And then finally, I want to thank all of you listening in today. I know that all of you are extraordinarily busy, and it is our goal today to make the use of this time absolutely as beneficial for you as possible. So thank you very much for being on the line. And let me remind all of you, as Alex pointed out, that on the right-hand side of your screen, there's an opportunity for you to type in any questions. I encourage you to do that to make sure that during the presentation, we've addressed as many of the issues and are as helpful to you as absolutely possible. Next slide, please. So what I want to talk about is just to sort of lay the foundation for the discussion today on the role of technology in green cleaning. And I won't sort of bore you and read you the slides, because I'm sure you're all capable of doing that yourself. But I think the whole concept of really thinking about technology is for us to really understand practical applications that really help us drive our work forward. And that's what we want to focus on today, is really sort of getting into some of the nitty-gritty details. And both really Andy and Jean will talk about a lot of specifics in terms of tools, in terms of the practices, strategies that I think you'll find very interesting and helpful as you continue to drive green cleaning in your schools. Next slide, please. So when you think about Mark's presentation, one of the slides that he talked about was the definition of green. And I know he was going a little bit quickly, and as I'm sure that all of you are pretty familiar with this information. But when Mark talked about green as being products and services that reduce the health and environmental impacts compared to similar products and services used for the same purpose. And what I wanted to sort of depict with this slide is simply to really encourage you to expand your thinking about how we apply the definition of green to the variety of products and tools that you will use in your schools. And as you see from this list of bullet points, there's all kinds of different ways where we can, in fact, reduce the health and environmental impacts of the products and services that you are now using. There's plenty of ways, and I know that both Andy and Jean will get into some details, so I'm not going to do that. But what I want to do, again, is just to really frame the discussion. And when we think about green, and when you think about it, are there ways for you to reduce the toxicity of your product, to reduce consumption, to reduce energy and water consumption? There are many different aspects when you think about products and the opportunities, especially considering the new technologies that are coming on the market. But beyond just sort of reducing energy and water and these other things, there's also opportunities, for example, when you're buying equipment, to find ones that are more repairable or more durable so that they last longer. And of course, when things last longer, it significantly impacts the environment because then we need less raw materials to make new replacement equipment. And it has less impacts on our environment because we're throwing things away less frequently. So again, my point of this is just to really emphasize that there's many different opportunities that schools have to think about greening their technology. Next slide, please. But beyond just greening the products themselves, I know in both Andy and Jean's presentations are going to speak a little bit about the processes, because we know that using the greenest product itself is not a magic wand. They don't magically make our school cleaner and healthier and safer. So it is essential that we're making sure that we're taking advantage of all the new technologies to make sure that we identify opportunities for improvement. And in their presentations, they'll talk about new technologies that can help you make sure you're identifying how clean a surface is, or the contaminants that may be exposing children in a classroom, which allows us to really focus our cleaning resources in the places that in fact help us create those healthy, high-performing schools. So we'll talk a little bit about different testing methods, different software programs for whether you're looking at quality control or managing work, especially in these this budget climate. So in essence, what we really want to talk about is a number of different things that ultimately will help you create the healthiest, most productive school environment and allow you to take full advantage of the advances in technology across the industry. Next slide. And with that, all I want to do is thank you again for participating, and I think you guys are really in for a treat listening to Andy and Jean. So thank you all.
Thank you so much, Steve. There already are some questions and hands raised, so so stick around. We're going to be doing questions and answers after the session, so just leave them up, and we will be getting to those a little later. So our next speaker, of course, is Andy Lee from Blackhawk Intermediate School. And before I introduce her, let's just do another question. So I am going to ask you all right, here it goes. What technologies do you presently use? So please take a few moments to answer the question, and then I will be, let me introduce Andy. So Andy Lee is head custodian at Blackhawk Intermediate School, which is an elementary school encompassing grades 3 to 5 in Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania. Andy has been head custodian at Blackhawk for 15 years. Blackhawk Intermediate was chosen to receive the Grand Award in the School Districts category for the 2009 Green Cleaning Awards. And we are excited to have Andy here back with us in another webinar. So let me close the poll, and we will take a look at what people are saying. What are people currently using? It looks like 11% answered activated water, 3% steam vapor, 49% microfiber, and 34% other. So I think there are a lot of things that we can all learn and share from, and we will start by hearing a little bit from Andy. So Andy, you have the virtual gavel now. It's all yours.
Well, okay. Thank you, Mark. And I want to thank you, Steve. I'd also like to thank the Healthy Schools Campaign and Vapor Technologies for allowing me to be here to speak to everyone today. Next slide. Well, back in 2003, when we began our green cleaning program, the only big changes were the chemicals. But now, wow, the cleaning procedures, all the new equipment, the chemicals, the knowledge, it's all constantly evolving. With all the new technology, I have no idea why all school districts aren't cleaning green. Next slide. Okay, here at Blackhawk, we are lucky to have some awesome vendors. They continually keep us abreast on the newest equipment, newest chemicals, and newest information on green. Our supervisor of building grounds never denies us the opportunity to trial products, to trial equipment or methods. If it's going to make our job easier, if it's going to be more economical, and it's going to be greener, then he's all for it. So over the years, we've moved forward and added quite a bit to our ever-evolving green cleaning program. Some of these items are, start with the foaming hand soap. We used to use single-use cartridges. Now we still use the foaming hand soap, but we use refillable dispensers. They have sealed, cleanable lids. This is quite a savings, being as how there is no waste. Another item we have changed is the paper towel dispensers. They hold 2 rolls, and so when one's out, the other one drops down, and they are touch-free. Of course, one of our best friends we use here is hydrogen peroxide. It is actually our cleaning chemical of choice. Several of our multi-purpose cleaners are hydrogen peroxide based. We use the hydrogen peroxide straight for stain removal on everything from hard surfaces to carpets. I used to order many chemicals. Now I order maybe only 2, an all-purpose chemical and a disinfectant for our everyday cleaning. We switched to a high dilution disinfectant, so you use less product and there's less waste. We have 2 all-purpose cleaners to choose one. One obviously is the hydrogen peroxide based, but then we also have a bio-based. But one of the really fun things we use are magic eraser pads, which are basically a white pad, and all you do is use water. Then use them for cleaning. They'll get everything from scuff marks on the floor to ink on the walls, and they're great for getting the coffee stains out of the sinks in the faculty lounges and restrooms. Next slide. Here, biz, we are all microfiber all of the time. Microfiber has come a long way, and there are many new products that have come along from these advances, most of which we use. One would be the color-coded string mops. We use the color-coded simply because you can help prevent cross-contamination. If you use one color for cafeteria, one color for your restrooms, one color for your hallways, then you prevent that. And if you have a substitute coming to fill in, they know, oh, look, orange. I know what area that's used in. This helps in with your training. We also incorporate color-coded cleaning cloths. It has the same principle, one color for sinks, one color for toilets and urinals, and one color for walls. We use also the microfiber cloths for cleaning glass and smooth surfaces such as stainless steel. They're great. All you do is add water, no chemical needed, and some of our staff even prefer to use them dry, where there's no water at all. Now, for the most part, we vacuum with backpacks that contain HEPA filters. But once in a while, when we need to dust mop an area you can't vacuum in, we use microfiber dust mops. They collect the dirt, and they maintain the dirt. They don't drop it off. So when they're dirty, we can launder them ourselves, and they require no chemical. Another item we use are microfiber covers for our feather dusters. Once they get dirty, you can take them off, launder them, and reuse your feather duster over and over. Another nice microfiber thing we use is the desktop cleaning system with pads. Basically, it is a bucket with preloaded with the chemical, microfiber pads and a trowel. All you do is take the pad, put it on the trowel, wipe the desk off, and then when you need a new pad, you put that one in another bucket and get one that's preloaded and ready to go. We use that same sort of system for chalkboards and whiteboard cleaning. A new procedure that we have started to do is using a split bucket system with a flat microfiber mop for doing our stairs. And basically it's just a bucket split in half and a flat microfiber mop. The mop folded in half. You dip it into your chemical, wring it out on the other side of the bucket, tap out the mop, clean your stairs, and then wring the dirty water back into the opposite side of the bucket of your clean chemical. We also use an integrated system. We use this backpack system for applying floor finish in the classroom. Basically, your floor finish goes into a backpack on your back, runs down a tube, and is dispensed out through the handle onto a microfiber pad. You can seal it up. When it's not in use, there is no waste and no contamination of your floor finish. And I mentioned in the classrooms earlier because of this next bit of new technology. We have stripped down all the floor finish in our hallways, and now we use diamond tip pads on an auto scrubber or burnisher to clean the floors as daily maintenance. My staff was skeptical at first, but now that we're into the second year of it, they absolutely love it. It's so easy. You put water in the auto scrubber, you put the diamond tip pad on the auto scrubber, and you take off walking down the hall. Now you're cleaning and you are shining all at the same time. This saves you a lot of time and money in the summer because you're not stripping and recoating. Next slide. We also use, and this is new for us too, the touch-free cleaning system. Over a couple of years we have tried many, and then we finally found one that just met just what we were looking for, and it is a big hit. All you do is go in, you spray down everything in your restroom. While you're allowing the dwell time, you can clean the insides of the toilets and urinals, clean your, wipe down your dispensers, refill them, go back, re-wipe areas you'd like to wipe down, and then you can either vacuum, mop, or squeegee the water right off the floor. Voila, you're clean. And we do use a black light for checking to see how clean the restrooms are. And the difference between our old way and the touchless system is unbelievable. It's just great. Other technologies we have tried are the chemical-free surface prep, which is basically an abrasive pad on a machine that vibrates and orbits to sand the floor finish off the floor. You're left with about 2 coats, more or less, which is perfect for wanting to recoat a floor. But now you've stripped this down without chemical. You go in, you vacuum up the powder, damp mop it, and you're ready to go. We've tried the vapor technology, which is just the steam cleaning. We really liked it. The machines were small. They were great. Everything worked wonderful. They cleaned well, but it is vapor, and green clean is not always one size fits all. This may be a great system in maybe a university such, but when you're working with small children and they clean it may not be a perfect fit. We've also tried the liquefied ozone, which we really liked. Once my people realized it actually works, but I had to convince them first, it really wasn't real cost effective for us at this time. Next slide. In this day of budget cutbacks, if it could be proved to save on labor, help to prevent workplace injuries, and help to maintain employee health, it is definitely a plus on the budget all the way around. Administration finds it hard to argue with that. When starting a green cleaning program, it is difficult sometimes to get the staff to buy into the changes. People do not adapt well to change. I find that it does not change once you're using the program and wish to move forward. I am always open with my staff, and I let them know about new technology or ideas and other things that I might have learned, and make sure that they are aware of them too. I also make sure that they are aware of the benefits of this new technology. Anything new we try, they are trained by a vendor on the use of that chemical or piece of equipment. Not once, but as many times as it takes for them to understand everything about it. Then comes my favorite part. I tell them it takes 20 days to make or break a habit. So let's try this for 20 days. On day 21, I will get your opinion on the product or the piece of equipment and how well you thought it performed. This gives them a sense of belonging to the program because they have a voice. There are some new technologies out there that I've read about and seen in magazines. Some of these I would love to try. Others I am not quite sure about, at least not at this time. Several of those would be Stymol, which is a disinfectant extracted from oils and thyme. Environmentally, it's a benefit because it's being made from plant-based. It is, however, expensive, and it only comes in ready-to-use form, which requires more packaging and, in the end, is more waste. There's a silver ion disinfectants, which are chemical-free cleaning agents, and they have a 24-hour residual protection. The technology relies on particles of silver, and what the long-term effects of silver on human health, I don't know, and I'm sure no one else does either at this time. There are also bacterial-resistant surfaces. I like this idea. Antimicrobial additives incorporated into touch points such as touchpads and bubblers on drinking fountains can inhibit growth of bacteria. The surfaces, of course, still need to be cleaned regularly. Now, they do this with children's toys. Now I like that it's used in other surfaces. Oasis offers drinking fountains with such feature. Then there's the soy composite, the use of soy in the manufacturing of resin. This resin has been used, in making eating utensils. I even have a travel mug that's made with this. Now it's being used in the production of waterless journals. In my idea, that's a win-win. Next slide. So in closing, I would like to see a green cleaning law enacted in every state of the union. We need to protect our environment and to protect the health of our children and the staff and our teachers, especially in our schools. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Andy. That was great to hear from you. We have one more speaker. That's Gene Woodward. I am going to say questions are rolling in. So if you have a question, please ask it, and we will get to it in the Q&A section. Now, before I introduce Gene, let me ask a final question. And that question is right here. It is, what technologies would you consider using if you're not using them already? So take a few moments while I read Gene's introduction. So Gene Woodward has been the Director of Custodial Services at the University of Washington, Seattle for 25 years, and he's currently the Director of Building Services Division at the University of Washington, which includes custodial services, recycling, and solid waste programs. The University of Washington Custodial Services team has received the Grand Award in the university's category both in the 2007 and in the 2009 Green Cleaning Awards. So it is our honor and pleasure to have Gene here with us today. I am going to shut the poll down in about 1 second. And shut. All right, got a few more in. And let's take a look real quick at what everyone said, things that they would be considering: activated water, steam technology, UV light, microfiber, and others. So it looks like it's across the board, things people are interested and curious about. Now, let's go to Gene, because he has tried a lot of things, and we're going to hear from his experience. So Gene, the virtual gavel is yours.
Thank you very much, Mark. It is a real honor for me to participate in this webinar with people that are focused on green cleaning. This is an extremely important subject. I really appreciate hearing from Andy. I took a lot of notes during her presentation, especially interesting to hear about the diamond tip pad. Anything that could eliminate the labor-intensive process of stripping is a definite step in the right direction. Next slide, please. Technology is an important part of your green cleaning journey. I've got a photo of some cyclists there. I'm a bicycle enthusiast myself, and I just recently completed a 200-mile bike ride with about 2,000 cyclists. And I noticed that some of the bikes were very high-end technical bikes with lightweight components and gears, and I'm riding an entry-level bike, but I was well prepared and well trained, and it was just interesting the contrast of technology as we're all trying to get to the same place. And I think green cleaning is the same way. We're going to be in different places with the use of technology, but we're all trying to get to the same goal. If you want your cleaning operation to be world-class, if you want to be a service provider of choice, the appeal of green cleaning is just universal. We've already heard all the pluses and all the good that green cleaning does for the environment, staff, cost savings. So if you don't want to do it, I don't understand why. When it came to that bike race, I wasn't quite sure I understood why I wanted to ride 200 miles in one day, but I decided to do it, and I made it a part of my mission. And that's what you should do with green cleaning. I strongly recommend that. Next slide, please. And part of the journey is to be able to make informed decisions. You've learned or heard the definition of green cleaning today from Steve Ashkin and others, and that's the foundation right there. And applying that definition to your culture and your institution. So it's up to you to stay abreast of the industry developments. Technology is just, there's something new, you know, every week it seems. So it's a continuous learning process. And as you get educated, share with your staff, share with the key players within your organization so that they're growing and learning along with you. During my bike ride or in preparation for it, I had to learn about proper nutrition and hydration and what the best training tips were. And I went to people that I knew were good cyclists. So in the industry, you want to go to the peers that you respect and admire and programs that you admire and tap into their brain and into their knowledge. And once you get that solid foundation of information, start exploring new procedures and tools and keep the conversation going with your staff. Next slide, please. You want to know your options, and there are a lot of them in the industry. We rely on third-party certification for most of our cleaning products and our supplies. If it has Green Seal or Ecolab or one of the third-party certifications, then we think that's a good place to start from. You want to have a comprehensive and thorough evaluation process. Depending on the scope of the product that you're going to introduce or the magnitude of the change that it will have to your cleaning operation, your evaluation period could be from 1 month. I heard Andy talk about 20-some-odd days, and that's a very good indicator. And you only use that particular product or that particular piece of equipment during that time in your normal work applications. So it could be from 1 month, and in some cases, if it's a major change, your evaluation process could even be up to a year. And it just all depends. You want to develop criteria so that you can get your feedback in writing, get your as well as the anecdotal feedback that you'll get from your staff. Some of the criteria has already been discussed, but is it the safety of the product or the equipment, the ease of use, its effectiveness, potential cost savings, potential labor savings, how is it packaged, how do you dispense the product, disposal issues, does it have the capability of saving water consumption or electricity consumption, what does it smell like, its durability, how does it contribute or not contribute to air quality in the environment. And whatever the product is, you can list these criteria and come up with some type of scoring mechanism so that you're applying some facts to what you're going with. And your staff should be involved in this process. the University of Washington, we have 7 different geographical work areas. And in any product that we are testing and evaluating, we'll test it in 5 to 6, and sometimes all of our work areas to ensure that we're getting a broad experience with that product during the evaluation process. And it's a way to get the staff involved. And the rollout is very critical. Those early steps and some of the early mistakes could make or break introducing a new product into your cleaning operations. So I strongly suggest having a rollout system. We will choose either one building or one area to roll it out. And this is after the evaluation process, after we review the criteria, and we've selected a product that we think is going to work in our system. And we'll pilot that program and do all the heavy learning in just one area, and we'll learn from that pilot group. And it's important to use the distributors and the manufacturers to help design the training processes and to help you develop your own best practices for that particular product or equipment. Expect mistakes and just learn from them during this stage. Next slide, please. This is a partial list of some of the technology that we've incorporated at the University of Washington. We're a full day cleaning operation, so it's important that we not have products that create disruptions, whether it's odors or noise to the campus community. So I'll just go down the list. We do also use a microfiber wet and dust mopping systems when we're not using our backpack HEPA filter vacuums. The wet mops are color-coded as well as Andy's system. Similar, we have one color for restrooms and then another color for other areas. The system that we use has virtually eliminated the mop bucket, the time spent traveling to a custodial closet to refill buckets, and the off-gassing that a dirty mop bucket, and just the image of a dirty mop bucket to the cleaning industry. Whenever I see one now on our campus, I just cringe. Even though it was technology that was with us for over 150 years, it seems antiquated today. The wet mop microfiber system that we use is saving the university 900,000 gallons of water entering the sewer system on an annual basis. So we're extremely proud of this reduction that we've made in water consumption. We use vapor to do restorative cleaning or project cleaning. It's virtually eliminated our harsh cleaning chemicals and acids that we used to use whenever we encountered a tough cleaning challenge. The vapor has multiple uses. It's a good stain remover on carpet, works well on stainless steel, cleaning grout or any buildup around fixtures in the restrooms. And it's a product we haven't quite implemented into our daily cleaning, but it is a regularly used product in our restorative cleaning. And as our budgets have shrunk and our staffing levels have shrunk, this piece of equipment has become of greater significance for our use. Auto scrubbers using ionized water, absolutely no chemicals, there's no packaging, there's no ordering of product. So it's saving us money in the long run. The floors are a lot cleaner. There's no residue on the floors, plus the labor savings that you acquire with the use of auto scrubbers. We're using spray bottles that also ionize the water in special situations. We have a building on campus that had a mold issue, and some of the staff that worked in that building were very sensitive and had allergies, pretty severe allergies, and they didn't want us to use any chemicals in that building. So we went to just using the ionized water, and it's working quite well in that environment. We do a lot of ATP monitoring and other scientific testing. We sample the air whenever we're comparing vacuum cleaners or comparing our dust mop practices to see the amount of dust that is entering the air when you turn on a vacuum, and how soon it returns back to normal levels. The ATP monitoring is a part of our regular inspection program. All of our work assignments have a comprehensive inspection 3 times a year, and we test for our organic materials on surfaces, particularly those that come in contact with people, the touch points. And we're beginning to really track that those scores over time, and we can compare that to our staffing levels. And even with our budget decreasing in certain environments, you're still going to want to know that you are sanitizing surfaces effectively. There's a new piece of technology that's coming out that will also provide pretty quick results. The ATP device that we use provides feedback within 15, 20 minutes or so. There's a device that can actually detect bacteria, certain common bacteria on a surface, so it's more specific than the ATP devices. We have one device that we're sampling with that now to see if we can validate whether or not it works. And the ATP monitoring is the surest way to evaluate your training programs and whether something is actually working. We use a work management software program. That's how we schedule all of our staff, and I include this because it is a way to ensure that you're utilizing your staff in the most efficient way, which I consider to be a green practice, that you're not having staff that are overloaded in one area and underworked in another area. This program is very valuable to us because it helps supplement the experience and knowledge that my management team has about the buildings and the staffing levels that are required. We've gone to a sole source procurement agreement with one distributor. This has helped us reduce our inventory. They've partnered with us on our mission to become green and have really assisted us in keeping us current and with what the new possibilities are as we move forward. So we're saving time in our ordering process. We're saving paper because everything is done online in our billing system, and we've reduced our inventory. The Minimax program is what we call our office self-service waste disposal. We're replacing the standard trash can at the desk side and in the office with a very small container. There's a photo of it there. The occupants empty that into a common restroom or a common trash container somewhere else. So my custodial staff aren't spending a minute unlocking a door or going into an office to check a trash can and a liner that might have an apple core or some wrapper in it. We're anticipating that once this is fully implemented, that we're going to save about $10,000 in trash liners and the equivalent of 18 FTEs that will be able to do other more important cleaning instead of going and checking a trash can, which is very time-consuming when you have 10,000 offices. With this Minimax program, we're also introducing compost collection, which is the next leading effort to divert waste from the landfill. we know that 50% of the trash that from the university that's going to the landfill is compostable. So that's where we're focusing our major efforts in our recycling program. We're evaluating 7 different green floor finishes and strippers right now in one of our buildings. This is an evaluation that will probably take us a year. We want to go through a stripping or the scrubbing process, and then a top coating process, and then actually stripping process and a refinishing, so that we know which of these products is best suited and most sustainable for our application here at the University of Washington. We're also testing a stripping pad that basically strips the floor finish without using any stripper solution. So we're hopeful about the possibilities of that. A couple of other things that aren't listed there: we do use touch-free restroom cleaning machines to scrub down restrooms on a periodic basis. We have a green cleaning carpet cleaning system. We have a 120-gallon tank at our dock area where the truck delivers our product and actually dispenses it right into that tank, and then our carpet cleaning crew fills their 5-gallon containers from that tank. So absolutely no packaging there, and it is a green product. We also use floor finish applicators. We have a couple of different brands that we use, and this prevents the floor finish from off-gassing into the environment. It really reduces the odor as well as eliminates any waste. Next slide, please. So it's an ongoing journey. Just as my bicycle ride, I wanted to track my progress, and during my training rides, I wanted to be sure I was able to cover certain distances at certain times, and that's what you should do with your program. You should conduct an inventory of all the green practices and products that you currently have and what aren't green, and just keep track and set targets for making progress toward reducing the number of non-green products and practices that you have. Rely on your own experience and your ingenuity as well as technology, and it's an ongoing journey. You should continue to upgrade because cleaning technology changes, and we're going to have lots of opportunities to change and improve in the future to ensure the health of our facilities, the safety of our staff, and the efficiencies of our organization. Next slide, please. So with that, I've completed my presentation, so thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Gene, and I hope your bicycle ride was as successful as your green cleaning program has been. I want to jump right into the question and answer section because actually before we jump to the question and answer, I want to remind everybody, you just heard from 2 past ASNU Green Cleaning Awards winners, so please, we sent out the link earlier, but if you know of any schools, or if you are a school and you're interested in being recognized for excellence of your Green Cleaning Award, check out the ASNU Magazine Green Cleaning Award done in partnership with Healthy Schools Campaign and the Green Cleaning Network. We would love to learn more we'd love to see more successful programs out there. So now, let me jump right into the Q&A. We are running a little bit late. We'll probably go over about 5 minutes or so because we want to get some questions in. So I'm going to hand over back to Alex, and we will get started on the questions.
Fantastic. So first we have one from Holly, and so she has actually raised her hand. So Holly, you should now be unmuted. It looks like. Okay. Well, we'll just go ahead and actually ask your question. Holly specifically wanted to know if our panelists could speak about the cost of equipment and staffing levels for the green cleaning programs that you have. So Gene or Andy, do you have comments on that?
Yeah, it depends on what you're going to be converting to. The chemicals if you're converting from non-green cleaning products to green cleaning products, the cost is probably pretty comparable. The cost of green cleaning chemicals have definitely come down over the last several years. If it's an equipment investment, those costs are pretty comparable as well. But if you're going to change a system, such as the system that we changed when we changed to microfiber wet mops, that was a significant investment. You know, we had a staff at that time of about 340 custodians, so we had to furnish each of them with mop handles and enough mops to you know, have some that are being laundered and some in use. So that was a significant investment, but we're reaping the savings of that by what we're not putting down the sewer. So I'm not really being specific because there's so many variables on the number of staff. I do know that in the case of the mop handles, our injuries have gone down because these are so much lighter. We're saving time going to and from closets to fill up mop buckets and the empty mop buckets. We're not spilling mop buckets accidentally and have the time it takes to clean up the buckets. So there's a lot of variables to really determine the cost savings and the labor savings in your environment.
Great. Fantastic. Thanks, Gene. And we have two quick specific questions for Andy, actually. The first is we have a participant who would like to know what liquid ozone system you use.
It was Tersana. It was the brand name of that ionized water system that we did use.
Perfect. And then the other specific question is, was the eraser that you used the Mr. Clean Magic Eraser?
Is not Mr. Clean brand. Actually, it's 3M puts it out.
Okay, great. And then another question we have is if any of our panelists have tested the active ion Ionator.
Yes, that is that's the product that we're using in the building where we have the sensitive staff. So we have 3 of those that are exclusively used in one building, and then we have about 7 or 8 others that we are evaluating. So we haven't introduced it entirely to our throughout our organization, but we are using it on a regular basis and part of our organization.
Great, fantastic. And we have a specific question for Gene. What are the University of Washington's biggest factors that allowed implementation of all-day cleaning?
The biggest factors were the pilot that we conducted in 1997 when we moved 30 buildings that voluntarily wanted to be a part of this pilot, and we moved about 40 staff to day shift, and we after 6 months all of our key customers in those 30 buildings provided us with positive feedback. There was a lot better interaction with the staff. Staff were more responsive. Our department was more responsive. We understood what was going on. Our custodial staff became a part of that team. So it was just better customer service. And we have an early day shift from 5 a.m. To 1:30 p.m. So we do a lot of our project work right at 5 a.m. We do the noisy work at 5 a.m. and we try to get that completed before the campus gets busy. And a tremendous cost savings for us. We were more efficient on days, so we saved an FTE as well as the shift differential cost, which was a secondary benefit for us, but we actually reduced our budget because our staff on days do not get a premium pay. That wasn't our key motivator, but in these budgetary times, it makes a difference, and it was able to save a few jobs. So we just found out we were better on day shift. The staff were more engaged, more productive, and more responsive, and more motivated.
Great. Thanks, Jean, for answering that. So we have another participant who has raised their hand. So Michael Smith, you should now be unmuted and be able to ask your question. Michael? Oh, we're sorry about that. Okay, it looks like, well, we will take another question then instead. So this will be actually our last question, which I think is a good one to end on. So how do you make true believers of your staff when new systems are introduced? So for Andy or Jean.
Yeah, I'll take that. I think that as the staff actually uses the product or the equipment, once they know, they've been trained on it and they actually know how to use it, and they're not fighting with it or not sure about this or that, but once it becomes like putting on their socks every day and they're comfortable with it, then you have no problem if it's, you know, working for what you need it to be working for. They will welcome it in. Like I said, once it becomes like putting on their socks every day, they become so comfortable with it that they have no problem accepting it, the chemical. They even actually forget about what they used to use.
Hey, Alex, this is Steve. I'd like to share a thought on that as well.
Wonderful. Go ahead.
I think one of the things about getting staff buy-in is also letting them know that when they're testing a product or a new piece of technology, new piece of equipment, that it's actually okay for them to come back and say, no, we really don't like this, or here's the problems with that. So I think, you know, getting them involved and making them feel that they actually are a part of the decision-making process, and not just, you know, you've already decided that this is something new and they have to do it. So buy-in means that they're actually a participant. Show them that you respect their opinion. And I think when they know that they can actually say yay or nay, it really gives them the sense that you're really listening to them and they really are part of the decision-making process. And so then from the things that they actually decide are good, I think they have more ownership in that decision.
Great.
I couldn't agree more, Steve.
Great. Thanks, Steve. We appreciate that. So we are going to go ahead and wrap up. We have a number of questions that we weren't able to answer, so we will be sure to go through those questions and consult with our panelists and come up with answers, and then email. We'll make those answers available on the website so you can go through and get that information. So thank you so much for joining us, everybody, and thank you again to our panelists. We really appreciate you taking the time and sharing your expertise on this subject. And we hope that our participants will join us for our remaining 2 webinars this summer. So thank you, everybody.